The Speaking Desert, dedicated to the memory of Rachel Pollack, whose words opened the doors of many minds wandering through varied liminal spaces. Bemidbar means in the wilderness, desert. It is spelled Beit, Mem, Dalet, Beit, Resh. Karen, if you could put that up. Thanks. Oops, and now I have lost my talk. This is not good. I can't find my talk. It was on the screen. There it is. Okay. The spelling of the word is a journey itself when we consider the derivation of each letter. Bet is the house of bondage we leave. Mem is the water of Toyrah we seek. When we exit through Dalet, the blood-stained door of the Beit house, the liminal state of both body, and Resh, the head, Rosh, container of ideas. The letter Beit derives from a pictogram of a house. The letter Mem derives from water. Dalet derives from door, another Bet, house, and finally Resh, the head, the home of thought. The spelling of the word becomes a story of pictograms into thought. The letter Beit, the house, also serves as the preposition in. Mem, water, symbolizes thought and denotes the place of. Thus, Midbar, which can be understood as place of word. Dalet, the door, opens the mind. And of course, in the Exodus story, the Hebrew slaves begin their journey from slavery to free people through a door. Another Beit emphasizes the interiority of thought dwelling inside the head, Rosh. The word of thought that dwells in the mind's door that opens into the liminal space of the desert. Liminal, from the Latin limen, which means threshold of the desert. The desert is empty of structure, of any sign of civilization. It's a no man's land full of possibilities. This all points to the communal journey of a rite of passage marked symbolically with the blood-painted lintel moving through divided water, both symbols of rebirth. Think of a few episodes of Called the Midwife. Each birth is quite a long journey, and it is often quite a bloody and watery affair. We can pronounce our long journey in this vast, undefined world as a wilderness. Edmund Wilson said, "If I could only remember that the days were not bricks to be laid row on row to be built into a solid house where one might dwell in safety and peace, but only food for the fires of the heart." The gematria of Bemidbar is 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 2. So you see that there's the Resh, for example, is 200, but I ignore the zeros in order to make it more simple. And then that equals 14, and that then reduces to 5. 1 and 4 make 5. There are 5 senses to experience the world. The message here is that fully transitioning into a new identity requires aliveness. We need to incorporate all the information accessed through all of our senses. There are also 5 parts of speech: throat, lips, palate, teeth, and tongue. All of creation was made with speech, and God spoke. Our words create reality. Okay, we don't need that anymore. We can, thanks. Thank you, Karen. When we leave our Mitzrayim, a state of constriction, oppression, imprisoned by negative forces of the mind, an unhealthy relationship, whether personal or professional, a hospital to recover from an illness. We need time to gain strength to move into that new identity. Until we come to the new state of being, we are ill-defined. Our boundaries are nebulous, our future uncertain. There's a mixed sense of excitement and trepidation. The certainty of unhappiness is traded for an uncertain future. All is potential. The pendulum of change is as certain as shifting sands in the desert. Arthur Edward Waite, poet and scholarly mystic, developer of the popular Rider-Waite tarot deck, described the 5 emotions of jumping into a new adventure: surprise, wonder, enchantment, trouble, and fear, all of which the newly freed Hebrews experienced as they made their way to the promised land. Bemidbar begins with census taking, half a shekel each. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs says that this speaks of a society where each person has equal dignity under the sovereignty of God. All of the tribes, except the Levites, set up equidistantly from the Mishkan. Later in the Parsha, God instructs Moses and Aaron to count the Levites. Returning to the theme of 5 mentioned earlier, there's this curious scribal feature in chapter 3, verse 39, of 5 dots over the word Aharon and Aaron. Rashi says that the dots indicate that he was not counted in the Levite census because Aaron wore 2 hats. Firstly, he was Moses' assistant. He hit the water and the earth to initiate the plague of blood, frogs, and lice. He was also the high priest. He lit the 7 lamps of the menorah every day to inspire each of the 7 character traits: chesed, gevurah, etc. Aaron was known in Midrash to embody the 5 levels of chesed. He was known as a great peacemaker and helped to save many relationships. The Aleph and Hey in Aaron stand for Ahava. The next letter, Resh, stands for Rabbah. The last letter, Nun, goes below the writing line, indicating the love he securely brought into the world. You can read more about this in Rabbi Raskin's book, By Divine Design, the Kabbalah of large, small, missing letters in the Parsha. While we read about counting everyone in the tribes and then counting the Levites in this Parsha, we're also counting the Omer, a cycle that brings our attention to the many ways of developing our characters so that we may respond more effectively to what life throws at us as we move through the many transitions in our lives. Every year we are given this opportunity. Every year we leave Mitzrayim and make our way through the wilderness of uncertainty. And we're counted equally. No one's problems are any less or more important, and no one suffers more or less. The wilderness of transition levels the playing field. We then enter the silence and listen for the answer together when we arrive at Mount Sinai. Departi.